Thank you so much for coming. You can roll tape. Samuel, thank you very much for being here. My name is Maria Jones, and I've been a member and a staff member of DCPL for 11 years, and here at Woodridge for about 8 years. Thank you. So we want to start off by thanking the panelists, thanking the cameraman, thanking the Woodridge staff, WAD staff, my branch manager for making this program happen. This is a great program, and Sundiata just mentioned, he said, how many times have you all done this program? We've done 3 versions of it within 6 years. So a lot has changed since then, right, since we started doing. Makash was in on the second one, that was 2 years ago. So, like, the first year that we did it, people were like, Africa? In 2019. Then when we did it in 2023, they were like, Africa. And now they're like, Africa. And that's how the energy is changing around Africa, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably why this place isn't packed, because the first year we did it, it was off the rafters. They were like, you know, I have all these misconceptions about Africa and I want to talk about it. So this is what this is. We're encouraging people to at least go and explore about Africa. Question, who all has a DC Public Library card? Okay, that's good. We want everybody, before you leave here, if you have your DC, Maryland, or Virginia ID, to obtain your DC Public Library card. That's very important. You can do a lot with that. And besides books, it's, you know, our libraries are a hub of learning. We've got databases, we have programming like this, and you should all be a part of it. And we have 2 assignments, basically. So do not leave this area without getting your library card. And do you see these books here? These are not just to decorate the vibe and, you know, make it nice. Oh, we're going to put up some Africa books. No. What this is for you to check these books out. Because what happens is, if we're not checking out books, and Miss Linda knows this, they disappear. If they have no circulation, then librarians, the system starts removing books. And that happens with a lot of black books. So don't just look at them. I expect to see all of these books gone, checked out. So once you get your library card today, you can check the books out. It's very important because you know what time we live in. It's very uncertain times, unsettling times, and they're trying to shut libraries down, especially black, as it pertains to black people.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that they don't, okay? Yes, and use the spaces. My girlfriend came, she's from Philly, and she said, this is free? Like I can be in here for free and I don't have to pay anything? I was like, yes. But that might change because they're trying to privatize public spaces. So until they do, use the space to strategize, to discuss, to explore, to build, and to help one another. That's what we have to do, all right? Yes, we got to do it. We got to be the change that we want to see. So today's format will be, everyone has a program, we're going to do panel presentations first, and everybody, all the panelists, my lovely panelists, will have 5 minutes to present, you know, why they went to Africa and how they did it. And then, 5 minutes each. And then we will have a conversation, and I will turn it over to the brother Makash. And we want the conversation to be free-flowing. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Miss Gloria. I'm sorry, that took me by surprise. We want the conversation to be free-flowing, so we're going to turn it over to Michael Makash after everyone's presentation, so we can start that conversation up. And after that, about 3:30, 3:40, we're going to have mingling, enjoying one another, connecting. I'd like our group panelists to take a photo op in front of our little makeshift backdrop, okay? And hopefully the caterer will get here and we will enjoy some West African cuisine. All right. So let us begin. Let me just get situated. Journeying to Africa, Why We Should Go. Michael Ya-Adom Makash, affectionately known as Makash, is a Ghanaian-born U.S.-based serial entrepreneur, independent contractor, freelance educator. As the founder of Giant Brain Consult, he offers expertise across various sectors. He is deeply passionate about Ghanaian culture and contemporary history. Makash is dedicated to promoting and preserving his heritage. He also hosts his own podcast, Native of the Motherland, which focuses on conversations about African culture and travel experiences. Streaming on his radio platform, Get Vim Radio. In February 2023, Ya-Adom served as subject matter expert and panelist for the Woodridge Library's program, Strengthening the Relationship Between Africans and African Americans. And if you look on, there's a display right at the registration desk. There's a QR code. You can listen to that, and you can also, if you scan your QR code, you can also see it on YouTube, and it's received like 1.4K views. Yes, so, Mr. Makash, and I'm playing slides behind you. I'm turning it over to you. Yes, this is your presentation, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is, my Ghanaian name is Nanayao Adom. Nanayao, yeah. Born and bred in Ghana. Moved to the U.S. in 2019 and went back again in December 2019 for the year of return, and ever since it's been back and forth. So me and my sister Maria had a conversation about 6 months ago about traveling to Africa and why it's important to go. Because she went to Tanzania last year, right? And the conversation that we've had over the years concerning Africa has always been around Ghana. Everybody talking about Ghana. And so when she went to Tanzania and came back, I was like, you know what? I think this is the time for you to share your experience about East Africa to people that have not had the privilege to visit the eastern part of Africa, so we can have something different for people. So this was a conversation we had, and then we came out with this program. So if we're here today, we're basically going to talk about the diversity of Africa and why it is important we take the trip as people living in the States. One of the reasons also is a lot of the time the stereotype around Africa is like, I was talking to my brother Jabulani, and I'm like, oh, I think we can never get rid of the stereotype. You know, even though everybody, I've seen people try as much as they can to change the narrative, but it's a battle that, you know, it's a long way to, you know, that changing the narrative. But we, as individuals who are enthusiastic about the motherland, we play our part. And Sundiata, I've heard about you. You know, you've been in Ghana with a go-go. And I love that, because when I first got to the state, what actually inspired me to go to a concert was go-go. You know, listen to a backyard and, you know, listen. So I'm not going to waste too much time on why we should go to Africa. I'm going to let my brother Sundiata introduce yourself, and, you know, we'll take it out from there. Thank you very much.
Okay, Sundiata, I'm going to give you an intro and then you can start.
Sure.
Okay. Sundiata Ali, he has been to Ghana, several times. And he says, my trip to Ghana affirmed things I've known but never really wanted to confront because it required examining the glory and trauma that sent my ancestors to North America because of the Atlantic slave trade. Okay. However, with a balanced and open approach to visiting Ghana, he found a sense of purpose that had been missing all of his life. He's going to tell you where he visited, so I'm not going to go into that. Sankofa is the foundation of remembering and learning from the past so that we don't repeat the same mistakes in the future. Black History Month should not only celebrate the achievements of Black people in America, but pay homage to our people in Africa throughout the world. Sundiata is a visual artist, a percussionist, a screenwriter, a world traveler, a cyclist, and go-go ambassador especially for the new Go-Go Museum that just opened. Give it up for the new Go-Go Museum. And that's in the world, right, brother?
Yes.
All right, so without further ado, Sundiata Ramin.
Thank you so much. I would begin by asking the ancestors to bless this space and greet you with Akwaba, which means hello. Everyone say Akwaba. All right. I'm so honored to be here. I have only 5 minutes to give a short presentation, and then we'll open it up. But we'll begin first. My first trip started in 1992. Okay. The first time I left this place was to go with my teacher, Dr. Yosef Ben Yekinen, Dr. Ben, the ancestor who I was able to go to the Nile Valley, Sudan and Egypt. And if you see on the left, that's me at 25 years old in the village of Nubia. What's important about Africa for me was connecting with the people. It's one thing to connect with the buildings, the pyramids, the temples. For me, it was the people. And so that young lady, Dr. Ben adopted. She was the doctor in the village. It was called Nuba. Daboud. Daboud is the name of the village. And again, that photograph shows me landing there in 1992. I was 25. I landed on August the 3rd, my birthday. And that's me visiting Dr. Ben at his nursing home before he passed 3 years later. He lived to the age of 99. If you look to the right, Aswan, to me, was where I connected. That's the southern part of the Nile. If you look to your right, the lower the map, you'll see Aswan, where the Aswan Dam is. Those are the original people of the Nile Valley. You very seldom see images of these people as the folks representing Egypt. Just as you would look in America and say Americans, you would see primarily Caucasians, but not see Native Americans. So that's what it represents by me putting this here. We can go to the next slide. And then I had the opportunity last year to organize my own trip with a group called the Uprise Travel, where I went to Ghana. Ghana, we will go into why it's so important and why it's so essential that we go. But I did take on a Ghanaian name in the Kumasi, in the village of Adunwamasi, called Yao Ba. Yao means born on Thursday, and my name Ba means intelligent. And so I also went to Asin Manso, the ancestral river, where we acknowledged those who had gone on to the westerly world and where there was the last place that they had bathed. I also wanted to show you what Accra looks like in the modern city. So often we hear about Africa and being backwards and doesn't have modern conveniences, but believe it or not, Ghana is on top of a lot when it comes to technology, universities, you name it, it's there. And of course, I'm a drummer, so I had to play the drum with the brothers in the village, and that's what we did. And then the other brother on the side with me, Reggie Robinson, is a drummer from DC. I was able to get him to go with a government-funded trip to Ghana to teach go-go. We'll move to the next one. The last one here represents what I did there when I went. Now, my trip was organized by myself. I had 4 people with me, but I met the sister, Michelle Blackwell, who was from DC, a singer, used to play with a band called What Band, and she donated the congas and the drums. I saw her post, and I said, well, I'm going to Ghana. What can I do to help? She said, well, look, what do you play? I said, I play percussions. I showed her a video. She said, why don't you start teaching online with WhatsApp, and then we'll hook you up with them, connect, and then you teach over there, do a master's class. That's what I did. The DC government saw it, funded it, and I then returned in November with Michelle, and you see the young brother here, Gabriel, playing the drums, this young brother here, Woodruff, and then also Benjamin, and this young lady, Princess. All of them were the ones who I was able to connect with. And lastly, I'll say to you, this is what I experienced leaving. When I left, when I way out, you saw these young folks come out to the car, and they started yelling, go, 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 go. They reflect, you know, who we are here and why music is so important, how it's universal, and how I really had the opportunity to connect. And the last thing I'll say is this, what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, I am not African because I was born there, but because Africa was born in me. And so we have to recognize that as African people outside of the continent, we have a responsibility to connect with our people and make that a reality. Ashe.
Wow, incredible, incredible. And I was witnessing the IG exchange between you and Michelle, and it's just incredible what you've done. All right, Jabulani Clay is a drummer and DJ from Washington, D.C. He has been playing the djembe and conga drums with Farafina Khan and Baba Mahiri since he was 4 years old. And it was African drumming that inspired his journey into the arts. His love of DJing is directly related to his involvement through the years in the community arts organization Words, Beats, and Life. In 2021, he graduated from Duke Ellington School of the Arts with my daughter as well as a jazz studies major. And after graduation, Jabulani received many requests to play the drums for leading jazz artists in the DMV area. Very soon after he started playing with them, he had a unique opportunity to travel to Ghana with Diallo Sumbri and the Adinka group. He performed in Ghana and has lived there for the past 3 years, perfecting his DJing skills by meeting the demands from clients for his DJ services. In January, or maybe he's doing it already, he will begin working on his radio residency with Oroko Radio in Accra, Ghana, where he will launch his own radio show to create a musical bridge between Americans and African Americans. Jabulani.
Peace, everybody. How we feeling?
All right, all right.
Excellent. So as Mama Maria just said, my name is Jabulani. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, first picture there was actually my first ever, I guess you could call it, professional DJ gig. That was, wait a minute, ooh, too fast. So that picture I took was literally 2 days before I hopped on that plane and literally changed my life. So the reason, you can go to the next slide now. I guess I do it for you. Okay, there we go, that works. The reason, as she stated before, is because of my uncle Bon, through Bon Not Blood, Diallo Sumbri. I was doing content creation work for my the West African drum group. I'm a part of Farafina Khan. And Diallo Sumbri, you know, saw the work I was doing, appreciated it, liked it, and decided that, you know, he had use for my skills in, you know, various places. And so with that, I came to Ghana, or can you go back real quick? I came to Ghana and began helping him to build in his village where he was installed as a chief in Yemebechire. So here you have a picture of, you know, some kids hanging by the school. This picture of him is actually where he was meeting the king of Akuapem. And then this picture here on the left is the beginning stages of the community center that he's working on building as we speak. I wasn't just in Ghana, being a part of, you can go to the next slide, being a part of the work that I was doing, like I said, was documenting the various trips that Diallo Sumbri took. Okay, so let's run it back. Okay, so part of the work that Diallo Sumbri does, right, is he's I guess you could call a travel ambassador for African ancestry. African ancestry. And so what happens is, you know, you do your ancestry, you find whatever tribe or nation that you're from, and then, you know, you take your birthright journey to that trip. So part of the trips that I was on was the one to Sierra Leone and to Cameroon. And so the whole duration of those trips, essentially what I was doing was just documenting our experiences. You see, we have our on the ground walking tour, meeting a king in Cameroon, young child being able to experience like a very I'm trying to stay under 5 minutes, so I don't want to get too deep into it. And then being in Ghana as well, being a part of his team, Kazi, workspace and database and all this type of stuff. I was a media specialist for them, operating podcast, tape digitation, amongst other things. You can continue. So outside of that work, you can continue. Outside of that work, it's part of where I found myself as an artist and as a DJ. I feel something that goes not very talked about much, specifically within Ghana, is the undercurrent of creativity and community and artistry that's happening. So many dope artists, DJs, rappers, you name it, that are, living, thriving as musicians, as artists, that I was able and blessed with the opportunity to connect with and learn from. And till this day, kind of altered the way I hear music, the way I receive music, the way I, look at certain things. You can go to the next one. And, oh, sorry about that. Well, yeah, that's my synopsis, I guess. We'll leave it at there.
Thank you, Jabulani. Appreciate that. All right. Verlene Little, a.k.a. Ama Amisa, was born and raised and educated in Washington, D.C. She is the proud mother of 2 young adults. She is a creative and has an immense love for history and Africana studies. She has researched her family history on her maternal side as far back as 1815. Y'all need to talk with her if you're interested in ancestry. Trying to make a direct connection to her African ancestry. Earlier this year, she was afforded the fantastic opportunity, well, I guess last year, to visit Accra, Ghana, home. This experience has deepened her search to find her ancestral roots. Verlene has worked in the Washington, D.C. area for several years as an executive assistant and print designer. She volunteers for community-based organizations such as Tumani DC,
yes.
Wherever possible, and is excited to share her experience of her first journey to Africa with as many people as she can. All right, Verlene.
Thank you, Maria. So yes, I was afforded the opportunity to chaperone with the group Tumani DC, along with my son, who was an employee and student through the DC Public School, not DC Public School, Summer Youth Employment Program.
Summer Youth and Program.
Yes, and I was afforded the opportunity to chaperone, and it was my first time out of the country in about 30 years, only my second trip. So I couldn't turn that down. I don't like to fly, but I couldn't turn that down. And it was such an amazing experience, meeting the people. They are so beautiful. We are so beautiful. Going to the Ancestral River, visiting the slave castles or slave dungeons, the delicious food, connecting with the children, and Africa is on my mind 24/7. Like, I think about it all the time. That is almost the only music that's on my playlist. I recommend everybody to go, if just once. I'm trying to go back ASAP. And Ghana is just, it's an experience I won't forget. Yeah. So, again, I got to go along, accompany my son Here's where we visit the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial. We went to Jamestown, which is, I think, the oldest city in Ghana. And then when we first got there, we got to have a drum session. And, you know, I always prided myself in being a black person and having rhythm. That's not so much the case when I got there. I can't get the dances yet and all that, but it'll come, it'll come. I've been removed too long. And here is a slave dungeon where I placed my hand on the wall where our ancestors were locked in, and it's a very humbling experience. You can read all the stories, you can watch all the movies, but it doesn't do anything until you're there and you immerse yourself and really put yourself in that experience. One of the regrets I had was carrying my camera with me because it was a distraction, and I could not do that as much as I want. So I would like to go back and just really put myself in that place. And my son, my dear son, he is blind, but even he said Africa is beautiful. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot on that trip. This is us taking our walk to the ancestral river. That's my son right there. And, oh, that's us right there too. And God, I'm lost for words because it's so much to take in. And again, just telling it does nothing. You have to go and experience it for yourself. I advise everyone to go.
All right.
And then we got to go to a school and made jewelry, made bracelets with the kids, and just seeing how bashful and shy they are. And it's just not the children, the adults are the same way. And I bonded with the young ladies, and what are they carrying on their head? Oh, these were just some passerbys that,
What's on their head?
bananas, I believe bananas, yes. And of course, I had to get permission. I don't just take pictures of, strangers, but, yeah. So that was our experience, and these are some kids standing by, trying to get our attention, yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Maria.
Oh, all right, yes.
Give it up for Verlene Little. And we're going to hear from everybody when we jump into the conversation. All right, thank you, Verlene. I've introduced myself already, and my first time traveling to Africa was last year. Last year, we went to Tanzania, but we stopped by Kenya because I have a friend at Howard University, the gentleman on the left, HU, that's right. And he said, you gotta come to Kenya. He's an expat, and he's given up on the United States. I said, Troy, are you coming back? He said, no, ma'am, I'm not. When my mom comes, she comes and stays in Kenya. So we stopped at Kenya first. And the people in the middle, Charles and Alice, they were our tour guides. Okay, so you're gonna need a guide. If you've never been to Africa, don't try to step out there. I was like, oh no, we got this. And my girlfriend Penny was like, no, you actually don't, and you need assistance. So they helped us through everything. They picked us up from the airport. They took us to the market. They helped us with money and exchange. They helped us at the market because that was almost a disaster at the market. Because we were like, oh, okay, here goes $75. And Alice is like, bring it back. No. And so they really were advocating us the traffic, and it just helps to use your connections. Like my dear friend Josek, he was somebody that I met here, and he met us in Ghana. He took us to a nightclub, and so, it was just beautiful. The main reason I wanted to go to Tanzania, I've always wanted to go to Tanzania because of Julius Nyerere. He was the first president of Tanzania in 1964. Yes. And he was a socialist. And a lot of people get scared, socialism, oh my God. No, it just means that we're pulling together and we're sharing. So if, you can implement, you can think about it, but it's just a sharing economics, cooperative economics. So, and then my friend Vicky, who is in the audience, that opportunity came up because she and her husband celebrated their anniversary, and she says, come to Tanzania with us. And I said, girl, that's crazy, I don't know. It was February or March then. And then I was like, you know what? Yes, we about to go to Tanzania, let's do it. So we, some kind of way, got the money together. We saved all of our money, and, don't let money stop you from going.
That's right.
And Charles and Alice, they brought us, we wanted to not just be tourists, but we wanted to be kind of meeting people from the community. So we went to a school, an orphanage, and we met, we shared, we just shared the whole day. My daughter, my niece, and I went, and it just was the most beautiful experience. And the little girl, I'm bending down her in the blue, her name is Gloria. I'm still in contact with her now. And so we're friends. You know what I'm saying? So you can build relationships. And these, the lady in the middle, she's one of the ladies who runs the orphanage. And they need a lot of, they just need so much, but their spirits are beautiful. I'm not going to, oh, this is, I'll play this, let me see. As you can see in the middle, we went on a safari, and I wasn't gonna be, when it came to a safari, I was like, whatever, it's whatever. That seems like just a mainstream thing to do. But when we got out there, it was amazing because the animals, that's their habitat. And so you have to respect
That's right.
nature at a whole different level. And it was like a tearjerker. I didn't know it was gonna be like that, but, and I'll play that again, that giraffe that just went by. It was like, she vetted us. She wasn't gonna just go by, she was very close, and she was making sure our vibes were right before she walked beside us. So the safari was a beautiful thing, and it just gave us an opportunity to commune with the animals, and that's what we could do here, but we move so fast, and it's such a crazy world here that we don't get to do things like that. And this is a little bit, when we went to the club, and it was beautiful. We had fresh caught fish, and we were just eating and just grooving. And they just, they party on a nightly basis. This was in Nairobi. So I'm gonna go forward because I don't want to take up too much time. Then we went to Tanzania, and here, Mr. Makami, he's in the middle, he has his two fingers up. He was our guide. We didn't know he was our guide, but Vicky, I think, put us in touch with him. And when I say their company was just awesome. They picked us up from the airport, took us around, and we kind of curated what we wanted to do. These are just a few pictures of the doors in Tanzania. It has a lot of Arab influence, a lot of Spanish influence, and you can see those doors. They were amazing. There's some photographs that we took. We went to the slave marketplace in Stone Town, and Tanzania is very different than Kenya. Kenya is largely a Christian country, but Zanzibar, that's where we were staying, is like 99% Islamic, Muslim, so it was a whole different energy, but I appreciated it, and I really appreciated the order and kind of the hierarchy that they had. They don't play all kinds of other stuff that we do, the sexual and all that. No, they're not doing that. So that was interesting. Let me, I just want to, this is a brother that we met on the beach, and basically he was saying, I wish you could hear it, I don't know.
Jambo, Karibu Tanzania, Zanzibar. Yep.
But basically, he was just saying, Pan-African people all the way around the world, you won't be free, you can come home, so welcome back. He was welcoming. It was pretty emotional out there. It was just a beautiful time. Let me see if I can it won't let me fast forward that. And these are just some shots of us. My husband, Henry, he's in the audience right there. Second, there he is in his kufi. And we met some Americans on the beach. They're from Chicago, and we stayed in the water like 3 hours just vibing with them. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And Henry does not like water like that. So for him to be in the water for that long, I'm telling you, it was amazing. And here are some more shots. We did visit an orphanage, and we were able to give some things to the children, the Muslim children in Zanzibar. And this is just us having fun. And it was such a peaceful time. We visited Dar es Salaam, and we got to go by and see, it's the museum in Stone Town, right? And so, no, Dar es Salaam. And so we were able to take a picture with, you know, the brother Julius Nyerere. And I took a picture of this brother to the right because he reminded me of Eddie Griffith so much. And he has a Tupac shirt on. So this is us walking through Dar es Salaam. And the middle picture that's moving the video, that was when we were in Stone Town about to board the ferry. And I was just struck in the morning because that was like 6 o'clock in the morning and it was bustling. And this is our group. This is everyone who came in our group, and it was just a beautiful thing. And we took this picture on the beach of Zanzibar. For me, Africa was it was the peace of mind. It gave me a peace of mind that I never have experienced, never ever, and that's why I want to go back, and I miss it immensely. So that's me, and I'm going to turn it over to Makash, and he's going to get the conversation going. And we did good because it's only 2:40, so we're only 10 minutes behind. All right, Makash.
Thank you, Maria. I hope everyone is enjoying the program so far. Are you guys enjoying it? Yes. All right. So we're going to make it conversational, and we would like to engage with you guys as well. So if any of you out there will be interested in asking questions whilst we have the conversation, just let me know. I think the first largest is Asia.
Asia.
All right. So I would like to start off with Jabulani and Sundiata. Sundiata, you visited Ghana with the Go-Go band, right?
No, we taught go-go. Two of us from DC went, not a total band, 2 or 3 teachers.
All right.
So it wasn't a band.
Oh, okay, so you went out there in Ghana to basically promote or just to teach go-go music?
At an orphanage called Graceland in Bojiausi, about an hour and a half from
Bojiausi.
Bojiausi.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to find out what, did you get a chance to listen to any genre of Ghanaian music?
Of course, High Life.
All right, there you go, yeah. What would you say the similarities are between go-go music and high life music as far as connecting with the people of Ghana? Because when I got into the United States for the first time, what made me go to a go-go concert was the rhythm, the drums. When I heard the drums, I was like, no, what is this? Are black people in America playing, same drums that we're playing in Ghana? Let me go check them out. I went and I was overwhelmed. It was mind-blowing. So I developed interest, in go-go music. As a people back home and here, what connects us after you listening to High Life? What's the similarity and what do you think connects us musically between go-go and High Life? What connects us?
First, I'll say this. Because I have a background in music, living in New York City, I learned about the djembe, but more importantly, the Congo. And understand that with go-go, we play the kunga or congos. That goes to Zaire, Africa. That's going to go to Central Africa, where that drum was used. And what the differences are when I talk about the drumming is that with go-go, we play tone and slap. And the djembe, you're going to play heel, the bass, the tone and the slap. But go-go plays tone, slap. So it's a difference in style of play, which primarily transferred from Zaire or Congo to Cuba. So Afro-Cuba, the Cuban beat, tambayo, is the beat that became so we took that beat, and Tyrone Jungle Boogie Williams, who came from the band Rare Essence, is the one who developed that pocket beat that we know, right? Now, not knowing the history of that, that drum is what connects us. As you know, brother, the drum is a talking instrument. It connects with, communes with the ancestors. It also communicates when there's a wedding, when there's a child born, or even there's an enemy in the village, the drum tells you that. So that drum is what connects us. That's the first thing. The other thing is, High Life, with the children, it was amazing to see how exciting they were when they heard the beats of go-go. And of course, we in America, we know about Afro beats. You know, we know about Burna Boy, we know about Tim's. That's our acknowledgement of African music. But I'm blessed to know about Youssou N'Dour of Senegal, you know, others, of course, Brother Baba Olatunji of his Drums of Passion. So for me, it took me back. But I can say what I know. I don't know that much about High Life, but the impact that it had on them was the way the drums were being played. Go-go, the beats per minute is slower. So it's harder, it's more difficult to teach, and plus we slap the drum. You smack most African drums, what they play in Ghana, you all play with sticks.
Right.
But we play with our hands, so it's a little different in that way, but you probably would be able to tell more about the similarities than I would. Yes, ma'am. Well, we don't, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because they know go. Y'all know go-go. Y'all know, you know go-go. but explaining it, I think it's, Jabulani, if you want to take it.
I was gonna say, because I actually did, like, okay, so as Miss Maria mentioned, she kind of got it a little bit twisted. So my radio residency with Oroco Radio, I've had it for, well, this year it'll be a year. And one of the, my personal radio show is called Home to Home Radio, right? Of course, bridging the gap between, you know, specifically DC and specifically Ghana. And one of my radio show episodes was specifically about making the comparison between go-go and between High Life. And, you know, obviously the energies is different, but specifically like, so like the cowbell, right? And the, you know, like you mentioned, the drums and all that stuff, right? Even down to the call and response nature of it,
Yes.
you know? It made me realize, like, okay, maybe it feels different, maybe it sounds different, maybe it's played different. Like you mentioned, maybe the BPM is different, but it all boils down to the same thing, you know? Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to mention that.
Maybe at the end. Maybe at the end, yeah.
So sis, you want to say something?
Yes, I'd like to find out, since we're here to find out why we should go to Africa.
Yes.
That's what specifically I came back here for. I want to find out about how is the government, how does this government react to you when you come over there? Then that's my first question. Then I also want to know, where did you...
Speak up a little bit. Look. No, put your mic, put it up to your mouth. You can talk. I know you're going to shout. Put it up to your mouth. You can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. And I want to know what was the housing type of situation when you went over there. And then the other thing is, how does China, Russia, and the Muslim people interact as far as it with the African people there? Because from what I understand, and I've been listening to and reading about, that there are a lot of Muslims presence over there. China is trying to come in to Africa, and then you also have that Russian influence. So those are my three questions.
Okay, beautiful.
Whoever want to take it.
You want to speak on that, sis? So I will talk about Chinese involvement in Africa. I think Africa is the continent that is open to whoever that is interested in doing business. Of course, we have people that come with good intentions, and we have others that come with bad intentions. So the Chinese, for what I know, I cannot speak in a general, terms, but I think the Chinese have had some type of economic opportunities in Africa, especially Ghana, where they have, access to mining. Because as we all know, Africa is the motherland. Africa is the bedrock of the industrial world.
Yes, it is.
And it has always been, and it's always going to be like that. And of course, particularly if Africa decides to go industrialize its resources, or Africa decides to say we're going to use our own resources to produce what we consume, it's going to be difficult for, other continents, especially the industrial world. So with China coming to Africa, it's basically doing business with the African governments. But like you said, what is being shown on the mainstream when it comes to the Islamist terrorists or whatever it is,
It's the Islam.
Trying to figure out how is the government working with these groups to maintain our finances and our money within Africa? Because when you have people come from various countries, taking our resources, I mean, I've been to South Africa.
right,
And, so when I went to a lot of the mines, they had already pilfered all the gold,
Right.
and silver, and all of these things. So that is, I guess, what you would put around my question around. How are we going to maintain the wealth there for ourselves?
right.
Not gonna answer that.
Don't we have rich Africans who can ensure that they're not coming there to do business, but to take what we have?
So that I 100% see and understand what you're saying, right? But first things first, corruption exists everywhere.
That's right.
Let's get that out the way, right? As beautiful and as lovely and as much peace as Africa, Ghana, any African
Right.
country brings us, right? Everywhere has their stuff. Every person has their stuff, right? Let's get that out the way. Second thing, right? And as I said, being with these people on the ground, these artists and people who, live this life every day, who can, actually feel the effects of what the government is or is not doing, right? It boils down to whatever bread, whatever money that is coming into it, right, and is for the country, right, is not getting to the country. And I understand this, how do we make that happen, right? But we're not the politicians.
Right.
We're not in the government. So it's on us to say, okay, say my uncle, for example, right, who has his village, who's chief of his village, right, and he says, okay, I'm gonna build this community center. And in building this community center, right, I'm employing the people of this village to understand, okay, how to do electrical work, how to do plumbing, how to do these hard skills, trades, right, to employ themselves and to empower themselves so that they don't have to rely on the government,
Right.
And even taking it further, right, it's on Africa to liberate itself,
Come on.
Take Burkina Faso, for example, Ibrahim Traore,
Come on.
right? He's decided, all right, enough of this. That's right. Y'all didn't, enough, get out. And now we're building ourselves, and now y'all ain't allowed to come here. And the result of that, man has been, I'm sure the number's gone up since then, but
Right.
from what I read, the man, they done trying to kill the man 16 times in a month.
Right.
Exactly, right? So it's not, it comes to a point where it's like, okay, as Americans, it comes to a point as Americans, okay, we can come in and we can do what we can, but at the same time, we can't do everything, right? It's not. God, I understand that. I think what needs to happen is a generational shift in the government, right? You can't, because people, respectfully, to all my elders here, right? respectfully, you've had your time. We're here. And if we're going to protect those ours, and if we're going to, elevate and raise and, bring to fruition where we truly see our countries and our continent to what it can truly be, respectfully, y'all got to get out the way, right? And the government, they don't want to do that. Because they sitting and they sitting comfy. They driving comfy, they eating comfy, belly's full. But it's but from personal experience, right? Going to my gigs, going to whatever party I'm going to. I should not have to feel like, oh, I gotta deal with these youngins knocking on my window, begging me for water, begging me for a coin. That shouldn't be my responsibility. But it is my responsibility now because of who was there before. I'll leave it at that.
Let me jump in right there and say this. We got to understand something I'm 57. Let's understand this history about Africa and what happened. Kwame Nkrumah, the reason most of us sitting here now and still asking whether or not we should go is because we really don't understand what this government did to discourage you from going. There have been at least 22 African presidents that have been either assassinated or ousted, okay? 22 of them, right? That tried to do exactly what Jabulani is talking about. The Organization of African Unity was trying to do exactly. They want to control and operate everything. Malcolm X was the ambassador for us. He was the one who was trying to connect us to the continent. In 1954, he was trying to do it. So what we have to understand is that we are now reinventing the wheel because now it is time for the younger ones to do it. That brother Traore is like 36 years old. The brother in Senegal, he's doing the same thing. They're beginning to push the European influence out of Africa. So it's happening. The other thing I wanted to mention that brother was talking about that I have a great deal of respect for, and we have to understand this. The year of return was very significant in Ghana, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you didn't notice, it was over 4,000, I believe, people that were returned. The government made $3.3 billion in 1 year off of that tourism. And they made Brother Diallo the ambassador of tourism. If we continue to do this, and I believe this government is going to force you to begin to think about getting dual citizenship in Africa, okay? You're going to have to, don't do it when they pressure you to do it. Do it under your circumstances.
Right.
Take control of your destiny. The fact that, like I said, you got to do your research. Like we do for anything, there are 54 countries in Africa. Find the one that suits what it is that you're about. Look at the government. Look at the belief system. A lot of the belief system is Christianity. A lot is Islam. Some of them believe in traditional African belief systems. So you got to find where you fit in and try to do something. And last, I'll say, as they mentioned, we took on the Graceland Orphanage. Get in there and help the way you can. GoGo is the vehicle, but it's really helping to donate laptops, school supplies. That's what we're doing. We're not just coming and teaching music. We're using that as a vehicle so that people will donate the money and we can help them out. So that's what we've been doing. You got to get in there and help and find your part.
The other concern is, like, I'm hearing that China has bought Jamestown, and so that can erase the culture and the jobs of the people that were there, that are there now.
Marketplace.
Yeah.
This is what you heard, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a grapevine information that I've also heard about, but I don't have the facts to support it. But I think when I heard about it, it was basically developing the coastal areas, and a friend of mine who works for the Art Center told me that they was about to get relocated. They was, moving from where they are currently to a different, area so the government can develop their entire stretch. But as to selling the whole of Jamestown, to the Chinese, I don't think the government, will ever do that. It could be in the form of business agreement for a certain period of, years, say 15, tax-free. Those incentives just to get the Chinese come in and develop because they have the machinery and have the money. But as far as I know, with the Ghanaian government and as a Ghanaian selling the Jamestown, I think it's just, some talk, yeah. And then one thing I would like to say with Chinese involvement in Ghana first, when you look at the mining sector of Ghana, almost every part of Ghana has some type of mineral, either gold, diamond. When I was growing up in school in Ghana, I was told that, Ghana, we have gold everywhere. And I grew up and I never saw gold. So I was like, how do you learn about your own country? They tell you have diamond, gold, and then you grow up, you don't see anything like. But the Chinese are given the opportunity to mine so the government can make some money and take care of the people. But as to, like Jabulani said, whether the money is getting to the ordinary Ghanaian, we'll leave that for another topic because it's kind of, it's unexplainable, And it's because of greed.
It is.
It's human greed. I want it all for myself. So when the Chinese come and say, I want it all for myself, we can't fight them because we also want it all for ourselves. So at the end of the day, it's man's greed for, and selfishness. You have, like my brother said, how much was it for the first year?
3 billion.
Billion. And the most tourist areas in Ghana are still, underdeveloped. So you ask yourself, where is this money going, So it's greed, and you cannot take that. It's human. It's something that has to do with the individual out there. And anyone who comes into power and decides to change, the narrative, my brother rightly said, you get assassinated. And those that were assassinated were used as an example to those that will come and change, So it's like, you see the wrong, but you can't change it. So you are caught up in a fix. So when Jabulani goes to Ghana and, young brothers, want to ask him for money, you don't have, it's because you are also being, portrayed to us, Black American or African Americans, as the cash cow, America. Oh, they have dollar.
Right.
So it's on a, I think the stereotype is on a different level, but it's the same. Kind of when you look at it critically, we've been stereotyped that you guys have all the money, and we also, to the other side, we don't have money, we're poor and all of that,
What I would say before that, Jabulani, for 1 second, I want to also say there are a lot of Africans from America who are developing in Ghana.
Right.
They are buying land and they're building communities over there. If you all before we finish, I'll give you information and explain to you what's happening throughout this continent. It's been over 20, 25 years there's been Africans who have been going back and forth, but there are people who are functioning, living there, and have been there for years.
Right.
So I think we need to understand that they are not, all of us are not thinking about this place as the place we want to end.
And it's a beautiful thing to see as a Ghanaian, see African Americans doing, getting into business and employing the ordinary Ghanaian, the indigenous. It's a beautiful thing for me. I seen Brother Diallo, I visited his community a couple of times, and I was so happy to see that, the people of the village, worked with him.
Yes.
And, he also made sure that they were good. And I'm like, we can do this.
We can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, he has.
As we're talking, he's building it right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add one more point, right?
Yeah,
I got
might
you.
want to donate to it. I don't know.
I got you. Let me just get this out real quick. Back to the whole mining and Galamsey and all these things, right? The citizens aren't happy.
Yeah.
And they're making their voices heard. My homies, my people, like, while I was here, they in the streets. I got homies getting, by police because they're voicing it, right? So I just want it to be known that it's not just, oh, this is happening and it's going, unsaid or unheard, right? That there's active, action. There's active action, protests being taken to make it known to the government that we see what y'all are doing and we're not,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This,
Yes.
Sure.
I just want to say, make a little statement that
Africa,
Congo.
Central Africa.
Right, but let me just say, know that, but the problem or the issue is people are hungry. We have babies starving in the Cameroon. So what are we doing other than promoting it by having the cell phone, using the metal in the cell phone? I'm just throwing that out there. We need to think about what our capacity or ability is to say, listen, that's a valuable material. If somebody whose skin color is different from mine is making billions and billions of dollars off of the material in the cell phone, but the babies in the Cameroon are starving, is something we ought to do. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I grew up in D.C. when it was black D.C. I grew up, my uncle and them owned like juke joints all on 14th Street. We weren't. My mama and them were African, like my sister here in her African clothes. And we as young people read a book called Black Bourgeoisie. Understand? You are intelligent, my parents. You are living blackism, but you ain't doing nothing but wearing the clothes and intelligentsia. And when we spoke about it, oh, y'all don't know about Africa, but we can read. So until the seasoned new black bourgeoisie and seasoned ones who want to have a conversation about what they didn't do and what they can now do to help Africa, then that's the new movement, and that's all I'm gonna say. And I know about the drums because I was up there when Malcolm X and them, we did the drum. I have the old drums back then. I'm gonna give them to my grandson. I have all the African stuff in my attic. We were, well, I wasn't. My mom and them was African. I just had to do it.
I have been to South Africa. I was one of the first organizers to go to South Africa after we, South African, got independence. I went there to teach the people how to create, how to own their own home. Because what I did here is organize co-op housing cooperative. And I got, I got honors. I got national honors recently. But anyway, I was the first one to go to South Africa. And I just had a friend to come back a couple years ago because I wanted to know how the property was going in Johannesburg. And they are still doing good. So I feel good.
Well, good. That's great to hear. Great. Beautiful.
Well,
I
I just
do
wanted
see-
to make a comment about, there's an organization called AHEAD Incorporated, agriculture, health, education, and development that's been going on in particularly Tanzania for over 40 years, and that's my family. So they've been going over and making sure that healthcare, doctors, they take doctors over during the year. They take doctors over, in the summertime. But basically, it's a program that folks have decided they want to work together. Both folks in Tanzania, they also have the program in Gambia. The folks on both sides, wherever African people were born or raised, working together to develop the communities. And so I think, hopefully, that what this conversation will encourage is that whatever your personal interest might be, there are groups that are doing positive things.
Absolutely.
Find out what those groups are, what they're doing, how it's developing. I asked him about Diallo, who's like my godson. He's been over there now over 10 years, and he's been working and developing and working to build a community center. And he'll tell you,
You know, there's a fantasy about Africa, and then there's a reality about
That's
the
right.
continent.
That's right.
Because with 54 different countries, different cities and different areas, just like you're in Washington, D.C. I was just above Foxhall Road. Anybody know D.C.? That's a whole lot different
Sure
than
is.
if you're on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue.
Come on.
So there's a lot of affluence that looks like us on the continent, and it also needs to be married with the expertise
Yes.
that we have both here and there. And I think that as we continue both to move and get older, as well as we have young people coming up knowing that they also need to be the engine to some of the new things that are happening. I mean, you can't have more intelligent people than you got when you talk about folks of African descent.
Come on now.
I don't care whether it's from the
Come on.
Caribbean or
That's
born
right.
on the continent. I don't care where we're born. And I like that phrase, we're Africans because Africa is born in us.
Right.
And as long as we recognize that and work with people who we know are trying to do good things.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things we can do. And there's lots of people who are doing positive things. I know folks who've been over there, other than Ahead Incorporated, for years, doing educational programs. You all know Busy Bee that has her,
Yeah.
you know, so she's been made a queen mother, and she has a village that she's working with. And, you know, you do one thing at a time.
Get
And
in
I
where you
mentioned this
fit in.
about Amazon. It used to just be books.
Yeah, yeah,
And he started in a garage.
that's right.
And I just came from Duke Ellington's 50th anniversary. And again, it was an idea in somebody's mind. And then two people decided they would start out with certain concept and certain things. And eventually it's a school now that's been around 50 years, but it started out as a thought in somebody's mind. Two people decided to get together and people invested. It started out as, I think, an after-school program, then maybe a half-school program. So there's a lot of things that we all probably have opportunities and thoughts to do. And I hope that what this program does is just really encourage us to, for those folks that don't know about the different 54 countries and over 2,000 languages,
Come
that we
on.
found out about them and find out all the different things there are, because they want encourage you not to go, because
That's
they
right.
want to keep you
That's
from
right.
the glory and the riches that are over there.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes,
Verlene wanted to say something. Verlene wanted to say
yeah, yeah, I want to say that it is, I see it happening in real time, where there's an influx of us going to Africa and making change, and to have an impact on young people is happening to the rappers and the celebrities that are going over there, building homes and investing. So I think that's a positive thing. I'm hearing more about people traveling to Africa than people going to Dubai and Greece and all that. So that makes me happy. Yeah.
All right.
All right. I would like to ask a question, and this goes to all of you. Before and after perception about Africa. So before you went to Africa, what was your perception, about the continent and the people? And after your visit, per your experience, what would you say to people that have not been there and still hold on to the negative stereotype? Jabulani, you want to start with
I
it?
guess I'll start. So my perception, I guess, before is a bit different than the average. Like I was telling you, it's a bit different than the average, young Black American. Specifically because I started in a community, like that was previously mentioned. I started West African drumming when I was about 3-4 years old. So from that point, more specifically, my drum teacher, right? He didn't just, read books and find out about it online and say, okay, I'm just gonna start teaching African drum. No, he went to the source, right? He went to the goat of all goats, Mamadi Keita, sorry. Rest in peace, right? Studied under him for years, was his personal disciple, right? And, he brought back that knowledge, and not just the knowledge of the music, but the knowledge, of culture, the knowledge of ideology, right? How the people live, how we can implement it, into our own. And so from that, right, I kind of had this, semi-understanding of, okay, how do things work, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, right? But obviously it's different, hearing it than it is living it. And so I guess, you know, after being there, obviously things are different, specifically being in America, being in a capitalistic, individualistic society where it's very heavily based on me and mine and whatever you got going on, you take care of that, versus being over there, it's us, right? And not just me and my family, us, but us, you know? And so with that, you know, pros and cons to it, and, you know, some adjustments, you know, I walk into my space and, you know, oh, you didn't get some food for us, and, you know, that type of thing, right? And it's like, no, this is my food, you know? But at the same time, it's like that same thought, it's like, okay, I'm hungry, we're all working, y'all are probably hungry too, so I should, you know, that aspect, I'll leave it there, I'll let you guys.
So for me, I think because I started educating myself about my people at an early age, like 20, or not 19, 20, 21, I did not subscribe to the negative stereotypes of Africa. But I do question, like, my parents now, and it's not just my parents, like, how did you all allow us, you know, you got stuff that's going on in TV now that we don't allow our kids to watch, in the video games that we don't allow ourselves to watch. How did our parents allow us to watch things like Tarzan? And I knew that, you know, that wasn't the case. So I'm glad that I educated myself. I wish that I had started in school or even at home. But by the time, when I got there, I realized that the hang-ups that I had were unnecessary. For example, when I planned to go to Africa, I had packed my suitcase, I had matched all our outfits together and starched all my clothes. And I get there, it's so vibrant and nobody's matching. So I had to relax what my perception of Africa was. No, I had to relax my perception of how I should be when I go to Africa. Yeah. So I embraced it fully. The people were so way more respectful over there than they are here. They're pleasant, they're kind. I think I heard a curse word maybe twice. Yeah. Everybody speaks. We got a lot to do here. We got a lot to do here, yeah.
Mr. Sundiata, brother?
Let me tell you, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I have to go way back, because the beautiful part is that Jabulani probably doesn't know, I'm a graduate of Duke Ellington and her husband is a graduate of Duke Ellington. He and I went to school together. So we're going to pay homage to Michael Malone and Peggy Cooper Cafritz, who had the vision to develop Duke Ellington School of the Arts. That school put something in us that I don't believe, it's probably one of the most prestigious high schools in this country, if not in the world. So many of us have come from Duke Ellington who are doing impactful things in this world. So I want to first pay homage to that. But let's go back. I'm a sixth-generation resident of Deanwood. Deanwood is where Chancellor Williams, Dr. Chancellor Williams lived, who was a teacher at Howard University, who wrote the great book, Destruction of Black Civilization. My grandmother went to school with him. It's a place where Nannie Helen Burroughs developed, right, the National Women's Negro Training Center. She was a member of the UNIA, Marcus Garvey. So I'm around black people who are dealing with self-reliance. Yeah. Deanwood was 115 black-owned businesses in that area, and we still own the home our great-great-grandparents bought in 1915. We're still there. So with that as a foundation, going to George Washington Carver Elementary School, the same school my great-grandparents went to, which was called Deanwood School. I remember when they actually sent a permission slip for our class to watch Roots. This was 1976, we were young people, but they understood the impact that it would have on us at an early age. I thought about that. Then I went on to Duke Ellington, and by God's grace, I got a scholarship. I went to New York City in 1985, and that's what put me on this road to self-discovery. My third year in college, I entered an African American Studies course at the School of Visual Arts, where I went for graphic design. And my professor name was Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. Her husband was Dr. Leonard Jeffries at Africana Studies program at City College. So that's what opened me up to Dr. Yosef Ben Yekinen, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. John G. Jackson, and these people were the ones that I learned of around 20, 21 years old. I legally changed my name from what it was to Sundiata Ramin because I wanted my children to have an African name. I did that in 1994. But more importantly, to go to be around people in Harlem from Senegal, from Liberia, from Nigeria, from Ethiopia, and to associate with the food. So my favorite food is jollof. I love jollof rice, but Senegalese make a chepelgin that I absolutely love. And then you got the brothers and sisters from Nigeria who have their fufu. So I learned through food how to communicate and commune with people, and that was something that, you know, I couldn't wait to see in the continent. So like Verlene said, I didn't have the stereotypes of what Africa wasn't. I wanted to know what it was in real time. And so to go there in 1992, I mean, I was mesmerized. I was taking photographs. I took over 2,500 photographs of the people and the monuments and all of that. And then to come back home to, you know, digest it all, to process it all. I was like, God has blessed me at 25 to get away, to see it for myself with a man who changed thousands of people's lives with his books, Dr. Ben, who wrote over 48 books. So for me, I was a walking, talking library. I came back, opened up a bookstore. My wife and I at the time, we owned 4 bookstores in New Jersey. And so we had many of those professors and scholars come at our bookstore to do signings. So I internalized it. It's one thing to know this history. It's another thing to internalize it for your own personal development. That's what you got to do. You can know all the dates and the events, but you've got to be able to internalize this history and live it.
Yes, I want to say, when I came back here from Ghana,
Right.
my sense of pride went through the roof. You couldn't tell me nothing. And my name is Ama Amisa.
Ama Misa.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful.
that means goddess.
Right, got
And I'm
it.
trying to live up to that. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. I literally walked around the grocery store the week after I got back, smiling,
Wow.
like I was in love. So yeah, it's real.
Wow.
I do want to add one thing,
All right.
specifically in terms of like the food and your health. Specifically when I came, okay, so when I first went over, right, and I had to go get my visa for, I think it was Cameroon, I believe, and I had to come back, I think, for about 2 weeks. And it's just, my body was just like tore up, like just eating, just, you know, whatever I ate, it just wasn't sitting, you know? And so coming back, you know, for a longer period of time now, it's more, I'm definitely more conscious of okay, what am I feeding myself? How am I taking care of myself so that I don't get sick, so that I don't gotta pay out of pocket, however much I gotta pay, you know, to get back healthy. And it's just kind of out there. It's like, not that, you know, sickness isn't out there or anything like that, because please trust me, it definitely is. But just the way that you're eating, it kind of heals you, like just naturally. You know, specifically when I'm in the village, like, you said, sorry?
No, I was up every day we went to the market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just pretty much saying, like, yeah, how fresh it was and how, you know, you can't let your food sit. Can't let your food sit. By day 3, you got your house is full of fruit flies. And just coming back here, it's just like, dang, all of this is garbage. Like, even the ones marketed as organic and natural and good for you, it's not. Yeah.
Beautiful. What, I mean, I've heard about this particular phrase in the state, and when I first got here, one of my the first cultural shock of being around brothers and sisters, African Americans, it was the we. I use the word we a lot. We. Because I come from a communal, you know, structured, you know, a collective, you know, environment. And so we basically use the we for everything. Oh, let's go. Oh, can we eat? Can we share? You are eating the food by yourself? Oh, can you share the food? You know. And then when I got here, it was like, mine. You know, I was like, wait a minute. So the folks that I hanged out with the first time, I kept saying, oh, come on, let's go, brothers. We're about to, and it was like, you are here, all right. So I had to really sit down and, you know, analyze my entire perspective. I was like, okay, so I think this is something that I'll call cultural shock. Even though I, you know, kind of fall in love with a lot of African American, you know, culture based on food. My favorite food, of course, is collard greens, you know. But it was still some cultural shock in there. I was like, okay, so it's kind of individualistic based, you know, as to, you know, where I come from, where it's more collective. So that I'm just saying this to re-emphasize like the cultural shock, you know. But what I really want us to discuss next is about the fact that most people here think that Africans don't like them. I've heard that phrase before. Africans don't like us, and I've heard. That's what's being told, right? Yeah, and I've heard saying the other side of it from my, you know, African colleagues. African Americans don't like us. Yeah, I was at a job that just, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, I was working the job with, you know, my African sister from Togo, and she was like, oh, African Americans don't like us. I was like, African Americans don't like us. I work with the brothers here, you know, we're having fun, we're chilling, and you're talking about. So, how, your experience visiting the motherland, being around, you know, the people, what would you say, you know, to kind of change this whole, you know, misconceptions about Africans don't like us?
Decolonization is a must. I take offense to it's amazing the negative comments that I hear from our people talking about people in Africa. And we have to do the work to change and correct that. And it's hard to do for a lot of people. You have to educate yourself. You have to get out there and you have to go there for yourself and see what it's like for yourself and experience it. You have people in Southeast that's never been to Northwest.
Wow.
They don't go to Virginia. Virginia is like going out of town.
Wow.
So it's going to take a lot of work. And again, it starts at home. We can't depend on our school system to teach our kids this stuff. Yeah.
Brother Sunita?
The first African you have to deal with is the one looking in the mirror. That's the first African you have to fall in love with. Once you learn to love yourself, as Chuck said, you can love everybody else. But that starts with you.
Right.
And I'll come back on it. What's that?
You got people to say, I'm not African. I'm
And
not
why?
African. I'm African American.
Because
I'm American
Right.
because I was born here.
we have been taught to be ashamed of Africa
Right.
and to be proud of our European adopted heritage. That's what we've been taught. Malcolm taught us that. We've been stripped of everything: names, language, culture, religion, God, mores, and folkways and norms. So now we've got to rebuild what was taken. And how do we do that? Through knowledge of self. You've got to read, you've got to study, you've got to know what we had before slavery. Black History Month, I'm gonna tell you now, I don't talk about slavery during Black History Month. Because first of all, our history didn't begin with slavery, right? And so dealing with the Holocaust of the African diaspora, you have to deal with that 365 because we're still in the Holocaust. The mass incarceration is slavery. So for me, I always go back. And so understanding the history, this is a big misnomer about Africa. Everybody in Africa doesn't know the history of each other's culture.
No.
Somebody in Ethiopia may not know the culture of someone in Ghana as well as someone in Morocco. So you've got to be, as a Pan-African, be able to pull from that, which, look, I did my ancestry. Most of us, my folks primarily are from Nigeria, the Hausa. And I've done that research, but I'm a Pan-African. So as a Pan-African, I'm going to draw from Morocco, South Africa, from Nigeria, whatever it is that I see the commonality, and it's been done. You got African professors like Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophile Obenga who have connected Senegal with Egypt. And the brother can tell you, the Ga of Ghana, they draw their lineage from Egypt. They literally migrated from Egypt to Ethiopia to Chad to Nigeria to Ghana. So, you know, you got to really do your background check. And then the last thing I'll say is this. One of the things that we always have to avoid is always gravitating towards the negative. I work at Howard University Hospital. You have African people from everywhere in the world there. And of course, when you have a knowledge of yourself, people gravitate to me. I know who I am, so when I speak to you, I'm going to speak to you as a family. I don't look down upon you, no, regardless of where I've been. And so many of us, we sometimes think we're better because we're born here, as opposed to, and we believe this third world thing. I'm from the first world. Africa's the first nation in the world I know of. So I look at it like that.
Okay. Something that I learned while I was there actually is that, you know, immigrants that came from, you know, whatever African they came to, when they got here, it was don't associate with the Black Americans. They're this, they're that, you know, they're bad for you, you know. And like we've been saying, vice versa, is especially I can personal memory, you know, I'm not even directly from Africa, right? Of course, I've done my lineage, my maternal lineage, Yoruba, but with a name like Jabulani, all I heard throughout middle school, elementary school, African booty scratcher, ooh, do you have a pet monkey? All this type of stuff, right? And I guess I could say it's like getting there, right, and being there on the ground, it's not a dislike. It's more curiosity than anything. It's more, I've heard this, or so is it really like that? Or I've always wondered, why do you guys do it like this? Or you know, and vice versa. It becomes more so of a cultural exchange versus, oh, you guys are like this, so I don't associate you guys like, you know? Now, obviously, human beings are human beings. You're not gonna like some people. That's just, you know, base level, right? But, especially, I guess, in my shoes, right, coming back here, and you know, the jazz still, the jokes still, you know, persist, because, you know, that's what friends are gonna do. But, you know, it's, speaking from my personal experience, I make it adamant to say, like, if I'm experiencing something, you know, in the city that's pertaining to, you know, something, you know, here specific, I try to bring it back to, oh, back there, you know, I say back home, honestly, at this point in my life. I say back home, we do it like this, you know, or I remember back home, you can't do that because it's going to be, you know. So it kind of becomes like, and specifically now because of the day and age of having the internet and having social media, right? If you're willingly saying, like, a person is this way, or a group of people is this way, right? You're just willfully being ignorant, because you can literally take out your phone and look it up. You know, I'm guaranteed 99% sure any stereotype question, there's a video being made by somebody out there that's dispelling it or confirming it. Either or, you know. Yeah, leave it like that.
All right, thank you. So we have 10 more minutes, sister, till we eat. But before then, if anybody has a question, I would like to just, you know, say something concerning don't associate yourself with Africans. I was also told the same thing. When I got here, I was like, oh, I live in a black neighborhood. Well, you're not afraid they will shoot you. I said, they will shoot me. I'm a married client, she's a pure heart. I'm just, you know. So it's when I was growing up, right, I'll tell you, what we were told or what I saw about African Americans was just all about hip hop music. You know, so I thought every African American was a rapper. I didn't I didn't know you guys, you know, some have doctorate degrees, some become professors. I didn't know that. I thought everybody was, yeah. So, and then it was the videos that, show the negative, all black women, naked, and then, the gangster, no disrespect, but that was what it was featured. So the whole narrative about Africa when I was going with my homeboy was, hey, N-word, was using the N-word. Yeah,
Tupac, real Tupac.
you seen that video of the brother with a Tupac shirt? Yeah. So it's something that is on the mainstream, and it's been going on, for a very long time. And I think with some of these events, we can, like he said, now it's 2025, we can encourage each other to go online, look it out for ourselves. This Instagram, people are posting, or visiting and taking pictures. So we can encourage each other to go online and look at the positive rather than the negative of what is being told.
While the sister do it, I'll say this. I want to encourage us to understand something, too, that we have to be very mindful of when you come specifically to Ghana. Ghana is being promoted among a lot of people in social media, especially young folks, as a place to come party. Diddy is in December, and we don't need to turn Ghana into Las Vegas or Miami, South Beach. This is not what this is about, and that's what's happening. Oh, we're partying all the way to 6 in the morning. That's not what this is about. I was very specific in doing it in January, and it was a cultural heritage tour that I set up. I will share the information with the tourist agency I went through. I think it's one of the most affordable, very informative. They did a great job in introducing us to Ghana. But I just wanted to say that you're going to see some people, doing a lot of tourism. You shouldn't be paying $10,000 to go to Ghana. You shouldn't be paying that kind of money. You can pay between $2,500 to $2,500. That will pay for your airfare as well as your hotel and everything. I'll share that information with you. And it is a Ghanaian-owned tourist agency.
Yes. My name is Lois Benzego Tillery, and I grew up right here by the park, right behind the library. Anyway, and so I'd like to make myself come back to this area. Anyway, love what's going on, and I thank God for all the exposure, because everyone, I think people of color and people of white, black, color, everyone needs this information so we won't be in the dark and stay in an ignorant position. I love that. And also I do thank God for my couple of children, grandbabies. I have about 22 grandbabies, right? So two of them are 2 or 3 or 4 in college and some in the military. But the 2 that just came back from Ghana, because in their different universities, they were able to ask, can I, one is studying, social worker and work, and another granddaughter's in another university studying also like IT and photography. So they were able to apply, and they were granted college university winter sessions to go to Africa. They just came back from Ghana, 2-week study, and last year winter session was Kenya. So I thank God that those avenues are open, but everyone doesn't know it. But they love it every time they go, and they're collecting information, bringing it back. This is how Africans serve their patients and so forth. As a nurse or a social worker or different things for the photography school where my other day. So what I'm saying is that there are ways that we can educate our young people, and we just have to let them know. Let's seek out those ways. And thank you for sharing, making us more aware of those options, that it's something that's reachable and attainable. We thank God for you all today.
Thank you.
Your Mama Tillery.
God bless you.
Miss Kate, so we also met and connected, and we have similar people that we know. Some of my students were at Duke Ellington. And
yeah, we have to just less than 10 minutes, about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Real quick.
How you doing? My name is Amanda Ashley. I'm from Queens, New York, representing all
Queens.
day, every
All
day.
right,
You know how we
Queens.
do. But I came out here for Howard University back in 2000, stayed all that good stuff. I grew up in a household where my mother made sure I was aware, okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Afrocentric, like down, so it's from the roots, okay? My first trip was to the Gambia in 2005, and so I had just graduated from college. I'll be honest, it was a little tricky, right? Because this is a heavy trip, you know what I mean? You're going back home. Okay, I kind of probably needed a little bit of partying, honestly. Okay, I did 3 semesters back to back. You know, it was different. I went out there, beautiful. Okay, first of all, the older women dancing knees to chin. Okay, when I tell you, I was like, I don't know how they're doing it. It's hot outside. They're fully gone, and they keep going, and they keep going. We went to a spot, they did a fashion show. I mean, the clothes and everything. I said, this blows everybody off the water. I was like, European stuff, what? This is fashion.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, right.
the lamb was delicious. Now, I'll be honest, talk about the food. It was running through me, though, okay? Because it was too fresh. You know, it's too fresh. It's different. You got to be honest. I was like, I just want French fries.
The bacteria.
Just give me French fries, because I need something stable, okay? My mom, she OD'd. They told us, take it easy on the mangoes. The mangoes taste like perfume. That's how fresh it is. You know what I'm saying? My mother, hustling mangoes on a plane and all that kind of stuff, eating the mangoes. Yeah, somebody had to change their outfit before the plane went off, okay? Because it's that real. So I'm going to give you that part too, right? I'm going to give you that part too.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
You know, when you think about it, it's similar to how some people may have grown up in neighborhoods where it was mostly white people or different people that didn't look like them, right? And they're black. And then they go to a school like Howard or something like that. That's how it is going at, you're like, yo, these are my people. Everybody looks like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's beautiful. You know, and it's the range, right? Not everyone doesn't have money. You go to those places, you're like, whoa, that's a nice house.
That's right.
That's a nicer house than I've seen back here.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You think about the rich and famous out here in Hollywood. No, even the designs, you know, the colors, the everything. So it's like amazing, you know? They cut me off on time, so I'm gonna let
Yeah,
that.
well,
Oh, wait. Jeffries. I know Jeffries from the African Poetry Theater, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's where we went to the trip on in Gambia.
There you go.
To Jufrey Island and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. The Roots
that's my
Festival,
teacher, uh-huh.
semi-annual and all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking, as you speak, I'm thinking, how many people probably went to Africa because y'all went there, you know? How much influence y'all had to talk to people? You said, like you said,
yeah.
coming back, talk to the young brothers. Are you crazy? Yo, you better go out there with me. Come on, let's go. I'm going to Ghana in September. Come visit me. Come see how it is. I'm sure people have probably even moved there because of the experience y'all had and been able to share. So
Thank you
it's
so
a
much.
blessing. Thank you for having this program. I got people out in Ghana too. I got some USAID people. I don't want to ask them how it's going because I don't know, you know, what's going on. But I got friends out there too. So I'll be out there at some point.
Thank you so
okay?
much.
I might be an Afrocello too. I like a little party too. But you know, we on season, off season. Okay? Thank y'all.
All right. So I think the brother has, is that,
Last one.
he's the last one.
Good evening. How you doing?
Good evening. So you have a minute, 60 seconds to sub.
Come on,
So my name is Vaughn Bennett, and I've been teaching chess in the District of Columbia for about 30 years. I've taken children to national championships in this room. Every Wednesday, we have about 20 to 30 children. I've been in this library teaching chess since 2006. Chess was reported as being worth worldwide, the business of chess, $2.3 billion in 2023. By 2030, it's scheduled to be worth $3 billion. The University of Maryland at Baltimore County has awarded a full scholarship to a child every year since 1995, just by the child winning 3.5 or 4 games of chess at one tournament. Most of the time, the child has been 12 or 13 years of age. So, and I know you mentioned the 60 seconds, but I wanted to know, you know, specifically like the communities that you all are working with right now, and if we might possibly be able to connect the children in Africa with the children right here in this room on a Wednesday or a Saturday or whatever time that we might be able to connect them and let them all understand and learn how to not only play the game, but teach the game. Running chess tournaments and teaching is where the money is made.
I'll give you a suggestion. You need to connect with WhatsApp. The way I taught Go-Go is recording the lessons online and then sending them to the children. We can set up something where you can connect with a WhatsApp and do either live teaching there from that place. That way you can get them online. You know, you can't get them here, so you have to use the technology and connect on WhatsApp. We can exchange information to do something like that.
I heard you mention that earlier, and by the way, we have an Instagram page. It is DC State Chess. So chess is a very racist sport. You know, if I told you in 1976, Elder, he was the first black to ever played in the Masters, right? And it took until 1999 for the first black Maurice Ashley to be let into the title of Grand Master. Why? Because chess was in the Olympics the next year. And children as young as 12 years old have become Grand Masters. And yet Maurice Ashley, he was the first one in the whole world in '99 when they let him in. There are now 11 in Africa. And just 2 months ago, a second American-born African black man or young black child, actually, he's 15, became a Grand Master. But my point is that people are kept away from this sport that Benjamin Franklin actually wrote a paper about in 1786 called The Morals of Chess. It's the National Archives version is the best one. But my point is, this is something that people are kept away from. Why? Because you have to write your moves down when you play chess. You have to use algebraic notation, right? You have to add and subtract the values of the pieces. You have to be willing to sacrifice. All those things we do every single day.
Thank you, sir.
Brother, thank you so much.
Appreciate
Appreciate that.
All right. Brother Sundiata and Sister Alma, Jabulani, would you guys have your final say? And then if anybody want to give out an information, contact information, you can go ahead and do that, and then we wrap up. Thank you.
I'll give you the travel agency that I use. Please look it up. It's called Uprise Travel, UPRISE Travel, uprisetravel.com. It's a sister there named Nye, N-A-A. Just look her up. Uprise Travel. I'll give you the price. For 9 days, 8 nights, which includes all meals included, ground transportation, 4 hotels, $1,599. $1,599. See, I'm gonna get you there. I'm not gonna use money is the reason. And then we can work on getting your flights. It depends on you all either setting up the trips yourself, or, which is better to get like a group of people to do it. You got a year to advertise, to organize. So let's say next year, January, you want to go, or March, you got a year. You pay $200 deposit, and then Nye will work with you to set up everyone, get everyone on board, and that way you all can go. Verlene probably will go with me, probably if not this year, next year, we're going to do it. She'll go with me on the trip, because it's like that. I mean, I'm sorry? If you want to go, okay, we'll exchange information and we'll get everyone to go. Okay. The beautiful thing is that's one thing, and then the last thing is that please get involved with African organizations in D.C. that's doing something for our people there. There are many organizations. You can Google them, in D.C. African organizations. And then if Uja Mashule is still around, the African Senate Education School, please support Uja Mashule with your money. If Watoto is around too, I don't know if that school is still around, but I know Uja Mashule, I think, is still open. We need to support that.
Can you please give the name of that agency?
UpriseTravel.com. The representative, his name is Nye, N-A-A. Nye Addison is her name. I will contact her and let her know that people will be reaching out. And she'll send you the email with the trip. It's called Cultural Heritage Tour. Ghana Cultural Heritage. So they have all kind of tours of Ghana, all through the forest, the river. They do everything. They have a lot of tours. So, but you want the Cultural Heritage Tour, which is $15.99, 9 days, 8 nights.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Sundiata. Sister, Alma, will you have anything to say?
Yes, I'm going to promote Tumani DC. If you have a child that's of age to participate in the SYEP program, have them apply to the Tumani DC organization, so you can work with them, and you may be granted the opportunity to travel to Africa. The child, Tumaini DC. If she's still participating, which I believe she is, Ms. Portia Richardson, that's her organization, that's through SYEP. And so she actually has, for the first time, a group of students that are going to be going to Ghana for 2 or 3 weeks this summer for a learning program.
All right. Thank you so much, sister.
I don't have the phone number.
Oh, email? You have an email they can reach you up?
Oh, my email is verlenelittle@gmail. That's V as in Valentine, ERLENELITTLE@gmail. Also, as Sundiata was saying, I also recommend visiting some of these embassies in D.C. to learn about the different cultures of in different parts of Africa.
All right. Thank you so much, sister. Brother Jabulani.
I'm going to promote myself. You can find me on Instagram at JABXLANI. That's JabXLani. I'm open for bookings, you know, weddings, graduations, cookouts, whatever you got, throw it at me. And then if you want to check out my radio show, it's hosted by Oroko Radio. You can find that oroko.live, OROKO.LIVE. And all you got to do is search up Home, #2, Home Radio. And I have about, I think we're on episode 7 right now. Yeah. More mixes to come.
You have an email?
More mixes to come.
You have an email address?
Email address is the same as my Instagram profile with 2 I's, JABXLANII@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Jabulani. Sister, would you wrap up for us? You have anything to say? All right.
Wow, I don't know about you all, but this has been amazing. Give it up for yourselves for coming out of the house. It's hectic to come out of the house nowadays, isn't it? So, I mean, you came out, we engaged, it was so beautiful. The panelists, I have to thank every single panelist, Sundiata Ramin, yeah, Verlene Little, Michael Makash, and Jabulani Clay. Yes, this was amazing, y'all, and this is just this could be the beginning of a lot.